full-size accordion, you have 6 rows and 20 columns. Now each column is going to be a little diagonal, but it has 6 buttons for each, basically each pitch. And as you move around the different pitches, that column is going to basically, preserve the same fingering, but it's just a different pitch. So what you want to do first is think about just getting a core position for your finger. The way I prefer is to use your 4th finger. So, if your thumb is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you use your 4th finger to feel out the bass button. And then your other fingers, so basically your 3rd and 2nd finger, could go on the major and minor. And then your pinky is free to reach other bass buttons that you might need, like a minor 3rd. But what you want to do is with those 3 fingers, just get into practice of being able to move around. Notice if I have them all on C, it's C, major, minor, C, major, minor, C, major, minor. As I move to G, G, major, minor, G, major, minor, or D, major, minor. My fingers keep somewhat close together, because to start, what happens is you move your fingers to go to another pitch and you get lost. If you just move one finger, you're very likely to get lost. So if you have kind of strength in numbers of 3 fingers and you move those, you're less likely to get lost, and it gives you a structure of how to move around between the pitches. Because that's the first thing you want to do with your left hand, which you can't see. You want a structure of being able to move around and play different chords and rhythms with your left hand. And to do that, it really requires good positioning of your palm kind of stationary, and then your fingers are arched so that you have this kind of a good core position of 4, 3, 2, and then you can move that together to move around the different pitches. And notice on most accordions you have, well, every accordion that I've seen, you have C marked, and then you might also have E or A flat, or you might have other things marked, and you have to take note of that. But they just allow you to move up quickly. And notice when I'm moving, I'm not really moving up and down so much. You do to some extent, but you're really moving a little bit, and kind of your fingers are moving the rest. So it's really a combination. But in general, you think of your hand as not really moving, like your wrist isn't kind of moving up and down so much. You are moving, but your fingers are really doing a lot of the work. So then, if I think about, again, just reviewing the things we talked about, I can start with bellows in closed position, and the main thing you want to think about when starting out is not to bring the bellows out too far. So if I'm playing, all of a sudden I'm getting really far out. My hand is moving. The problem is I'm losing control. My hand is getting less control over the bellows. It's weaker, and the finger dexterity is not there. So you really don't want to pull out that far. Instead, what you want to do is really try to time the bellows, and think of it like almost like a breath. Like you want to take a pause where there's a natural break. And then when you get very good, a lot of what you're doing is really just timing where you take those breaths. And also, bellows shake techniques to kind of, if you want to take more breaths, if you want to have that sound. Then that's kind of a more advanced technique. But in the beginning, when you're learning, you just want to keep your bellows close to home. So, one thing to do is just, every 2 measures of music you can pull out or push in. Or, whenever you have a simple chord change movement. Or if you just have basically a breath in a verse of the lyrics or something, you can take a breath there too. So almost if you think about if you were singing it, what you would do. And the other thing to think about when you get more advanced is that when you push, when you push the keys down, you could just build up air pressure and then push the key and let go. But that has a different effect than if you push the keys first and then you open the bellows. And then you stop and let go. That's called really a bellow stop. It gives a very rounded note. So notice when I'm playing, I'm holding the notes, but I'm basically controlling the air with the bellows. So what I want to think about is, in general, you think push the key, open, stop the air, and then release. Again, it's an advanced technique, but it's something that people don't always think about in terms of improving the tone. Because, if in the beginning you're just playing and you're closing the bellows or opening, it has a very, the pressure builds up. So when you first play, it has a different formation of the note than if you round it out using bellow control. The most important thing in terms of storing it in the long term is really, it's like most things that you store. Don't keep it too cold, don't keep it too hot, especially with accordions. They're kind of like dogs left in the back seat of a car. If you leave them there and it gets hot in the car, they start to melt or the parts start to warp, and you can have a very expensive repair if it gets very hot. That's the biggest thing I tell people, is just kind of keep it at room temperature. Don't play in extreme temperature. Don't play with a sea mist coming in at you. Don't play in the rain. Basically anything anywhere you wouldn't put a baby. Someplace very cold or someplace very, very hot. Anything like that. That's where you want to keep your accordion, so it'll protect a lot of the sensitive parts in it, which can be leather or wax or just a lot of the pads and things, felt. A lot of that stuff is very sensitive to temperature and humidity. However, accordions for the most part really, unlike a piano, which should be tuned every year or so, or more than that, accordion really doesn't need to be tuned that often. You could probably get 20 years as long as it's kept properly and kept in good condition. So that means playing it every now and then, especially just so you can, even if you just play it a little bit, that helps to kind of keep it in good shape so things don't start to bend, or sometimes the leathers curl. Just by playing it, you actually keep everything in check, and it actually improves the life of it. So that's the real moral of the story, is just keep playing, and your accordion will thank you for it.